Hello, good evening. Welcome to the final episode of Guns and Yellow Ribbons for this season. We may do and will do some stuff over the summer, but this is the season finale. We will look back over what was a great season. Sadly, we didn't win the league, but we're going to start back from the Community Shield last summer at Wembley. Look at some of the highlighted games and some of the key players, and we're just going to have our memories. Enjoy the show.
Get ready for the world's greatest Arsenal podcast. Welcome to another podcast by Guns and Yellow Ribbons. Enjoy the show.
Hello, boys. Good evening. This hay fever stuff. The last couple of days have been killing me. My nose is all clogged up and stuff like that. Trevor, nice to see you with some clothes on again.
Yeah, I'm making the most of the close season to use summery t-shirts that I don't normally wear, mate. So, yeah, I've been a bit body shamed by the Arsenal this week, so I'm on a strict diet for next season. That huge arse of mine and that huge gut of mine are on the way out.
Lads, I sent the picture to Trevor on his personal WhatsApp with a voting thing. Boy or girl, you choose.
Are you finished?
Yeah. Alex, over in Copenhagen, you've had the torrential rain we've had it here in the southeast for the last 2 days. You've literally got in about a couple of minutes ago and you're drenched, yeah?
Yeah, it's been absolutely pouring down the whole day. So just cycled home, made it in time before the podcast. So yeah, just managed to dry a bit up before turning on the computer and coming on here.
And Dale, you're back on with us. You've got a work call at 8:30, so we're on strict time to try and get this done within the hour. Mr. Hill.
What?
Listen, let's go and look at the Community Shield. I don't have any graphics or anything on it, but it was a 1-1 on 90 minutes, a late equaliser by Trossard. I think it was 90 plus 9 or 90 plus 10 minutes. He scored, and then it went to a penalty shootout. Dale, what do you recall of the Community Shield, and did you think it was a good sort of signal to, a barometer of how far we had moved from the previous season to start this one, because it was against Man City?
Yeah, you'd always have people going, you didn't deserve to be there because you didn't win anything, blah, 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 opposition fans. But who doesn't love a day out of Wembley? And the reality is we played more than well enough to hold our own in that game. And I think it was an important step. It was an important part of the journey that we've experienced this season. It got us on the right foot. And you can debate all day long, is the Community Shield a trophy? Is it not? Yes, it is. It's the opening season showpiece, and it sets up the season ahead. And I think what a season we had, which we'll touch on tonight.
Trevor, me and you went to that game together. I don't remember very much of it because we didn't have to start the season with a bang, didn't we?
Yeah, well, it turned out to be a very special day, didn't it, Ferg? Because you meet up with loads of people that you've not seen for a few months, and the beer flows freely. And it's a great place to start the season, a trip to Wembley. Come on, the Community Shield, and Dale's exactly right. You don't get chosen to play in the Community Shield. You have to qualify to play in the Community Shield by doing really well in the league or by winning the FA Cup. You don't just get told you're playing Community Shield. So for me, it's a trophy. You qualified a year before for the final, and then the final happens to start the following season. So it was great. It was great that we played Manchester City because I thought that it would only be a rough indicator, but it would give us an idea of how we could face up to Man City. And from what I remember, through your rightly recalling, we were very drunk, Fergus. What I remember, we faced up to Man City really, really well. And for me, the thing that shone out from that game, which was to become a pattern during the season, right, was that their star, Haaland, didn't get a kick, was substituted on 64 minutes, not injured, just because he couldn't get a look in because we played him off the pitch. And that turned out to be a real definite pointer towards the season coming, didn't it? Because the lad never got a kick against us all season. So, yeah, enjoyable day. Great pointer towards the season to come. Nice to get to Wembley and meet your old friends. And, yeah, we held and then beat them on penalties, Man City, which is always nice.
Alex, it was a great pointer to the season. Urian Timber started in the left-back position. Sadly, he got injured in the first game off the season. But you just said just before we went live that was probably the predicted lineup that we probably would have had for most of the season.
Yeah, it's quite funny. I feel like there's quite a lot of pointers when you look back at that game and the starting lineup as well. It was the first game where Rice, Odegaard, and Partey started together in midfield, and we didn't really see that midfield until late in the season. And we did so well when they played together. And yeah, like you said, Timber unfortunately wouldn't play any more minutes really this season. But it was funny because Havertz played up top that game as well, and I think we all thought he did quite well. And then for the next 6 months, he didn't really play up top. He played as the attacking midfielder. So quite funny looking back that he actually played striker that day against City. And then like the biggest thing was I think we managed to move past that psychological barrier of beating Man City, which we hadn't really done for a long time. So that really set an indicator of what was to come for the season. And of course, we went on to beat them and didn't lose 4 points against Man City. And then another pointer in that game was that Cole Palmer was going to have a good season. He scored in that game, and he went on to have quite a good season as well. So,
but for Chelsea, not for City.
For Chelsea, not for City. Yeah. So I guess that game really had a lot of pointers to what we're going to see throughout the season.
And in the 38 games, we won 28. We drew 5, lost 5. We netted more goals in that single season than we did in since 2016-17 season, and we broke our Premier League record by scoring 91 times in the division. 3 more than our previous best, which was 88 goals, which was in 22-23 season, the previous season. And the last time we scored more goals than that was in 1952-53. We scored 91 goals, conceded 29. Our goal difference was 62 plus, and 18 clean sheets. Trevor, we've talked about it several times. David Raya, excellent season. He's picked up the Golden Glove, and rightly so. We're going to talk later about the well, we can talk about it now, really, to a certain degree. The gambles that Arteta has taken, in the sense of taking Havertz, a player that people were unsure of from Chelsea, and taking him across here, and there was a lot of controversy and talk about it. Taking David Raya, who he courted for a number of years from Brentford, and put him in ahead of a fan's favourite. And, you know, many people questioned him. There was talk in the media about, like, I'll always substitute a keeper and everything else. His gambles paid off, didn't they, Trev?
Yeah, well, you can't argue that fact that, of course, his gambles paid off. I felt really, Ray, I don't think many people got on Raya's back when he was brought in, but a lot of people showed their support for Ramsdale, if you know what I mean. Yeah,
correct.
Ramsdale had the shirt. Ramsdale hadn't let us down, and suddenly Arteta goes, bang, Raya's in. So there was a lot of questions asked about that specific decision. And if the season's over now, so we can look back on it and we can talk about what we saw the season. Raya come in, and Raya had the weight of the world on his shoulders, didn't he? Not from the fan, not from pressure from the fans having to go at him, but purely from the fact he knew that the fans' favourite was Ramsdale. Ramsdale had lifted us the previous season to where we are. Ramsdale had lifted the crowd with his antics and his general demeanour. Ramsdale was our star boy, and suddenly he's in. So all sorts must have been going through David Raya's head. Absolutely all sorts. And I think it showed in the first few games, but Arteta obviously knew and stuck with him. And we reaped the rewards, didn't we? As the season went on, he got better for me.
Huge boots or gloves to fill, considering the views that all us fans had about Ramsdale, like his dad, can mix in with us in the away end with all the fans. So really embraced themselves as part of football and like the Arsenal Football Club. So it was huge gloves to fill.
Yeah, one thing I loved as well. I think that there's 2 points in this I'd want to touch on really. The first one is I think that Raya used that fan favourite mentality, people's attitude towards Ramsdale, and used that to improve himself. I think he had a real big point to prove that, and he knew he could do it. But one thing I want to say as well, I will give a massive credit to Aaron Ramsdale. He could have kicked off and sat and moaned on the bench. He didn't know. He was probably one of the most supportive people on that bench. Every time Raya made a fantastic save or made a great distribution for which led to a goal or whatever, he was the first one standing up cheering, and it was almost like he was proud of him to be there. There was no bitterness, there was no malice, no nothing. It just goes to show the love that Ramsdale has for the club and also for that position as well, that they support each other as goalkeepers. So.
Alex, we saw that in Seville. I know we're going to do Europe probably slightly separately, but we saw that in Seville at the end of the game where Ramsdale came out. It was not long after he had lost the number one, not lost it, but Ray had taken the number one position, and he came out afterwards as all the fans had been held back in the pouring rain. Trevor was up top getting soaked. We were nice and dry underneath. And he came out and he smiled. He walked over to us. Almost felt a bit strange. Almost, you're on mute, by the way. It almost felt like a farewell. He was that very, embracing to us.
Yeah, I think we all wondered, is he going to go in the January transfer window back then? Because, you're right. It did feel like a kind of a farewell, but I suppose it wasn't. And it probably just showed that, Dale said it before, his love for the club and the connection he has with the fans. And as you've mentioned before, like his dad being in the crowd a lot of times for the away games. He just managed to form a special connection, which you don't see often with players and fans. But in the end, I just think that Raya probably fits the personality that he wants in goal. Trevor mentioned Ramsdale's demeanor, which is a bit more erratic than Raya's more calm personality, probably. And I think that's probably the biggest difference. There's not that much difference in them as goalkeeping ability. So it's probably more of a personality question in goal rather than their actual ability.
I'll probably disagree slightly. I think it's just slightly variations of technique. Trevor, just a final thing on the Ramsdale thing, because I don't want to go into it, but you'll probably know this more than anybody because you've been going to football since God was a boy. But that connection that Ramsdale and his family made with the fans and with the Arsenal faithful, it was probably as close as you could get to back in the day when they used to walk down, Avenel Road with their boots in their hands.
Absolutely, Fergus. Firstly, what Dal just made a cracking point there, a really good point, and I just feel the need to expand on it for 5 seconds. That when Ramsdale was standing up, cheering and clapping, do you remember the press tried to get at him? The press was saying, "Oh, Ramsdale this, Ramsdale's bitter, Ramsdale sarcastic," and Ramsdale didn't bite once. He just kept doing what he was doing, and he showed the press the door, which was wonderful to see because they were really digging for a story, and he made sure they didn't get one. As for his relationship with the fans, Fergus, what you got to remember is on this podcast, a few years ago, I used to say, "Well, we've been to another away game, lost, no effort, felt like we got beat, didn't want to play. Nobody come over to us at the end of the game. They all just walked off the pitch, the players with their heads between their legs, didn't care less. They're going to get their paycheck now, but they've never thanked us or anything, And that was a regular occurrence. And then Ramsdale was part of the change of that, not just a little part, a massive part. Ramsdale related to the players, right? Ramsdale got up to his antics with opposition fans. Ramsdale's dad was in with us having a beer and having a laugh. And we'd been crying. We'd missed it for years. We'd been begging for something like that. And I will be eternally grateful to Aaron Ramsdale because that atmosphere you see at the Emirates now that we're all so proud of, a big part of that is thanks to Aaron Ramsdale. Absolutely, in my view.
I agree. 17 different players found the net for us in all competitions, led by Saka, who became the first player to score 20 goals for us in the season, 16 in the league, 4 in the Champions League, since Aubameyang did in the 1920 season, and the first Englishman since Theo Walcott, nearly 11, 12 years ago in 2012, 2013. If we look at this list here, you've got Saka on 16 goals. This is the Premier League. Kai Havertz, Trossard, Odegaard, and he's got Alex. Any players stand out, bar him his chiprin, but any players stand out to you on there aside from Saka?
Well, I don't know if you can bring it up again, but like in the positive mentions, I think Kai Havertz, I think if anybody said before the season that he was going to get 13 goals in the Premier League in his first season and half of the games he was playing as a midfielder, I think we'd all be happy. And then Trossard, of course, he really caught up on the goals towards the end of the season, scored a lot of goals, a lot of important goals as well. And then in the more negative aspects, I'd say someone like Jesus only scoring 4 goals. I know he's been injured for a lot of the season, but 4 goals just ain't really enough. And the same for Martinelli. Martinelli scored 15 goals the last season and was our top scorer. So he had a bit of a dip in form towards the end of the season, where Trossard luckily stepped up and scored goals. And then Declan Rice, 7 goals. Incredible for a midfielder. Nobody's even questioned his price tag, have they? So, yeah, a lot of positives.
It's about getting game time, and Martinelli didn't have a first start since March until the last game of the season. Yeah. Dale, Eddie Nketiah, I know we all talk about him, but he was holding the front line at the start of the season. He got 5 Premier League goals. I think he got a few in other competitions as well. A player that's going to go, but not getting the opportunity prevents him scoring goals. Don't you think?
Agreed. I mean, one thing that stands out to me on this goal scoring chart is that if you look at the numbers, this time last season we had, I think, 5 players all on 10 plus goals. We had Odegaard, we had Martinelli, we had Saka, Jesus was in there as well. We had, I think, 4 or 5 players all scoring 10 plus in the league. This, to me, highlights just how important the likes of Havertz and Trossard have been this season. Saka, we knew Saka was going to have a great season. We know he's going to have a great season every year because that's just what Saka does. He is world class. I don't listen to this nonsense, anything else. But Havertz, he came into the season. He started very slowly. Let's not beat around the bush, right? I questioned him. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I kept going, and people were starting to question. How long do we give him? How long do we give him before he does something? So if you could almost take away the first 6-7 games of the season where he hadn't really done much as far as goals go. So Havertz has still managed to get 13 league goals in a season where he started off, in my opinion, not as strong as what he could have done or what he was capable of. So I think that highlights that Kai Havertz has had an outstanding season. And as Arsenal fans, we watch him week in, week out. When you listen to Chelsea fans, you listen to Tottenham fans, they'll go, Kai Havertz, really? Like, you don't understand the game. You don't watch the game, because what he's brought to this club this season is something that we've missed for such a long time. It really is. And he's stepped up when it really, really mattered. So I just wanted to highlight Kai Havertz. I really did. It doesn't need to be highlighted, but
he didn't get his first goal until the 25th of November, which was Brentford away. I think that was his first goal. Was it Brentford or Palace?
I think he had
penalty, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was against Bournemouth, I think. But he ended up having, I think it was 14 or 15 goals and assists in the last 14 games. So he stepped up when it mattered in the running, and big goals against Tottenham, the likes of Tottenham, and in other big games as well, Chelsea as well. So yeah, he was just phenomenal.
Yeah, and he's grown better and better. Here's just a list. It's a bit small on there. You might be able to see it, but a list of the 17 players that scored goals for us in all competitions. If we look then towards the midfield, Odegaard with 11, Rice with 10, reached double figures in assists. And Declan Rice got 8 in the league. in the Premier League, which is only 2 short of his combined total assists for West Ham in 242 appearances. Which, Alex, I just seen your face. That just shows how much put a great player in with better players, and they improve, and he clearly has.
Yeah, I think a lot of us, when we heard that we'd signed Declan Rice, we all thought, oh, brilliant. We've got a solid defensive midfielder now who's going to sit in front of the defense and going to break up the play. But I don't think any of us would think that he was going to get, 15 goals and assists throughout the season. So he, like you said, in with some better players, and he's done brilliantly, especially when he's played further up the field. When Partey came in towards the end of the season. And then obviously he's had a lot of his assists from the set pieces as well. After the Dubai training camp, he became our main set piece taker. And he was really, really good at it. So, yeah, he's just been so much more than just a 6 sitting in front of the defense breaking up play. He's been instrumental going forward as well and providing goals and assists in big moments as well. Thinking about the United game at home, massive moment where he scored there. The Luton header as well. He's just been superb, brilliant player.
Trevor, Alex was on about Rice playing more in the 6 role. I found that in the majority of the games, we either had Jorginho, Partey, and he was playing that more advanced role. But he and Odegaard just seemed to click. And look at Odegaard with 10 assists in the league. Outstanding. He just made everything just... The guy's unreal. I don't have the video clip, but that slide tackle that he done, who was it? I can't remember who it was against, but that was just...
Was it Liverpool? Where he was like 4-on-1?
That was... do you mean Rice or Odegaard?
Odegaard, that slide tackle.
Oh, my apologies.
That was Everton at home last season, where he went in for a slide tackle and then he tricked Iwobi and got up and got the ball.
Yeah.
That was superb.
Trevor, thoughts on Odegaard and the assists that are coming through from the midfield?
Ferg, I'm just watching the comments go through. Listen, everyone, there's loads and loads of questions coming in, Ferg, in the comments, and we're not going to get a chance to answer many of them. I'm really sorry, but we will do something next week, I believe, and we will leave it open without too much of an agenda and put your questions in for us then, and we'll see what we can get going and we'll see what we can get in the comments. As for what you just said, Ferg, we're spoiled, mate. I don't like picking out any one of them, because I can't see a weak link in our team, Ferg. We worried a bit about left back, and look what's happened. Tommy Ash has come back and stole the show, absolutely stole the show. So Odegaard is undoubtedly key. Rice going in with him has helped us unbelievably. He can play either further forward or a bit deeper winning the ball. It's astonishing the way Rice makes ground and reads play. I've never seen a player like it. I've never seen a player that seems to know where the ball's going to be about 10 seconds before it gets there. He really is that good. He's astonishing. Odegaard has improved ever since we got Odegaard on loan, and then he came back again. Odegaard just seems to improve and improve and improve. There was a couple of players up front I thought dropped off a little bit. I thought Martinelli was a little bit weak for part of the season, but he bounced back. And some players are going to have little stages during the season where they're not on top form. That's football. That's a human being, But I'm really, I loathe to pick out these people because you go from 1 to 11, then on the bench you go from 12 to 17, and we've got a very good squad when it's all fit. And the difference is for me now, when we were coming into last season from the season before, I remember Alex and me discussing it, and Dan, about how many people we needed to sign. We'd finished 20 odd points off the top of the table, and we're thinking we need to sign this, we need to sign that, we need to sign this, we need to sign that. Well, this season for me, it's really, really different. I want to see a couple of really good signings coming. And I've no doubt that people will want to come and play for the Arsenal now, the way we are. But what you got to remember is we're not going into next season thinking we finished 20 odd points off top last season. We finished one win or one draw away from top spot last season. We're so close. Mikel Arteta has got us so close, and we all know it's going to come. So, yeah, we got a great squad already. Cut two or three players out, 2 or 3 in. That's it for me. That's all we need to do. Just tweak it a little bit. Yeah, I'm so excited for next season already. That's why I desperately want this Charity Shield. Desperately want us to play in the Charity Shield. Get the fans together before the league season starts. Get the players together in front of a massive crowd before the league season starts. And we'll be away next season. I'm so excited. I've waffled a bit there, haven't I? Jesus Christ.
Just a bit. Dale, if we look at here again, Declan Rice and Kai Havertz, this is Declan Rice, the most number of passes in the midfield, followed by Saka and Zinchenko. Zinchenko features quite highly, considering he was a substitute player in a lot of cases and had some injuries. And then also in aerial battles won, Kai Havertz up there with 105 aerial battles won versus next following up was Gabby on 79. We're building some strength there, and it's players that are dropping back and playing the entire length of the pitch, not just sticking to their chosen position.
Well said. Absolutely.
Well done, Del.
What?
Go on, carry on.
No, I'm not carrying on there.
Don't stop him now. Keep going, Trev.
No, I'm not talking anymore. You can get lost.
He wasn't taking a mic.
Come me out.
Ferg asked me a question, and then you jumped in, so he's calling you.
I'm sorry, son. I'm just looking at all these great questions going from the comments, so I was only half concentrating, mate. So I do apologise.
No worries. Anyway, before you answer, Del. Trevor is right.
I was saying, right? You know what I mean. Then.
we are planning next week.
Don't
know if it's going to be Monday or Thursday, but we're going to do a phone-in type. Oh, I'm going to have to shut you up in a second. Let's mute him there. We're going to do a phone-in type podcast where people who are watching currently on Twitter and on YouTube, you'll be able to follow a link and join into one of these little windows here and talk to myself and Trevor and some of the other guys. We'll just rotate the bottom two and you can put your questions to us and your thoughts about the game. We will put it on social media once we've done it. And we also, next week, want to look at the European tour. We just need to know which order we're going to do them in. Dale, so let's get back to that. The presence of Declan Rice and Kai Havertz and the fact that players are working for the entire team and not just in their chosen positions.
100%. We've said it before. I mean, even with fringe players like Jesus and things, when they're in the team, they're the first back defending as well. Am I surprised that Kai Havertz won the most aerial duels? Not in the slightest. In all honesty, I'd probably expect him to win the most aerial duels. He's about 6'4". But what's interesting is those aerial duels, they're not all won in the final third of the pitch. So some of them they're in defensive positions because every single player is playing for the team. They're all tracking back. The strikers, it's like they've got two positions. If you're a striker, when we're defending, you become a midfielder. If you're a midfielder, when we're defending, you become like a more of a defensive player. I love the work ethic at the moment. And what was the other one on there? There was Havertz, the most headed ones, and the top one was
the most passes was Declan Rice.
Again, does that surprise anybody?
No.
I think no. I think that Declan Rice. I remember my friend Oliver at work saying to me before he was a West Ham fan, and he said, "You guys don't realise what player you have with Declan Rice." And even a few weeks ago, I said we were talking about how good Declan Rice has been. He said, "Look, he's still got levels to go. This guy is he described it as a generational talent." Now I know, make of that what you will, but that's coming from a West Ham fan, and he will continue to support that player going forward. So I just expect those numbers to get better and better and better. I really do.
No, I agree. And then, Alex, if we look at more in the defensive area, the clearances and the interceptions, again, Declan Rice features heavily in there when he's playing in that sort of 6 role, 6 and 8 and dropping back. And just what the amazing thing, if you look at the stats, so we've looked in all 3 areas of the pitch, Declan Rice features heavily. And as we've drop further back, you got Gabby and Declan Rice overlapping and Havertz overlapping. But how easy Rice makes it look and some of the most difficult things that he does just looks so very, very easy. He just walks up, taps, goes away, and the play is broken up. He lays off a pass, and we overturn the attack, and we go on attack ourselves. What's your thoughts on the defense? And before you go, looking on their clearances, Magalhaes, Saliba, and Ben White, the three of them have been just outstanding.
Magalhaes.
I knew you was gonna do this.
That's for the European tour.
Yeah. What was the question? No. Yeah, he's been instrumental to our defense as well, Declan Rice. I think David Moyes summed it up quite good recently in that interview where he got asked, what's the difference between last season and why you're conceding so many goals? And he said, because we haven't got Declan Rice. He's the best defensive midfielder in the country, and he prevents so many goals. And he's done that for us this season, and he's been part of the reason why we've looked so solid and been so good in the Big Six games as well, where we didn't lose all season. He's also allowed us to play the highest line in the Premier League because he's so good tracking back, and we saw that against Everton in the last game of the season where they had a 4-on-2 situation, and he just reads exactly where the attacker is going to go and just nicks it off him and starts the counter attack immediately. And just his engine, he runs and runs and he never gets tired. He's just been so good. And also a player who was on the list, which we haven't really talked about yet, is Ben White. He always gets a bit overlooked because he isn't the most prominent player in terms of stats and gets a lot of goals and assists, but he's just been phenomenal. And I can't remember him having a bad game this season. He's just always solid, and he even chipped in with a couple of goals and assists this season. The Chelsea game stands out for me, where he scored the two goals, nearly got a hat-trick. He's just been so good as well this season.
Yeah, no, for sure. Listen, we've looked at the stats. Let's look at some of the key games. We scored scored at least one goal in all but one against all but one of our opponents. The only opponent that we didn't manage to get a goal past in the league was Aston Villa away, and Aston Villa proved to be a difficult team for us, Trevor. They took 6 points off us, and I think they're the only team to take 6 points. I haven't double checked that, but I think they're the only team to take 6 points off us this season. Our former manager Unai Emery, that game at Villa Park, we didn't do ourselves. We didn't play badly. We played actually quite well, and there was some controversial decisions. There's going to be loads right throughout the season. We'll talk one of the major ones in a few minutes. But that Villa game, and then the Villa game in the run-in, are they the ones that cost us?
Well, you can pick a few parts of the season that cost us, Fergus, but Villa outsmarted us this season. The only team to do so, the only team that came close to doing so, and I think it's a big part of their manager. Yeah, you know me, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I really rate Unai Emery, and he worked us out. He worked us out a couple of times, and they beat us. And they were, of course, the first time we played them was part of that horrible Christmas period, wasn't it? Where where the Premiership was lost, in my view, across those Christmas period games, and also where I thought I dreaded it, but I thought our season's not going to fall apart, is it? When we had them games at Christmas.
Mm.
But do you know what? Right, I'm just looking here now. We came stonking back after and beat Palace 5-0. Right, which
hold that thought, because I just want to finish off with, before you go into 2024. I just want to finish off that, like, the Newcastle game and that Christmas run as well. So
yeah. Well, we've had come on, it's all right. Newcastle beat us 1-0, but we've had an apology for that awful decision. So that makes it all right, doesn't it? You know what I mean? That makes it all right. So, yeah. Don't linger on this too long, because I'll smash my computer up, Ferg, because It's so annoying. That one sticks in your head, doesn't it, when you think about it?
It was remembrance. It was the Remembrance Day game for us, and boy, would we remember it. There was 3 incidents in the last dying minutes that gave Newcastle a 1-0 win. There was, did the ball go out? Was Gabby
Yes.
fouled? And
Yes.
was it offside? And it went to VAR. You can see the decision there. You can see the ball out. They talk about the curvature of the ball and everything else. And I think it was 5 or 6 weeks later, Alex, that the PGMOL issued an apology and said, yes, they got it wrong. So what should be the correct course of action for, yes, they got it wrong? I know Tottenham had it against Liverpool and so on, but that 1 point could have made a big difference in this title challenge.
Yeah, I mean, they can't really just give out points because who knows what would have happened. But yeah, it just shows their incompetence. And if I remember correctly, Arteta got charged as well after the game because of the comments he made.
Disgracia.
Yeah, disgracia. Luckily, we've got some good lawyers in our club, so they managed to get him out of that one. But yeah, that's just probably one of the darkest moments of our season was that game where, yeah, I mean, we kind of got robbed by the referees, didn't we? And then Arteta got charged afterwards, and then we went on quite a bad run throughout the December. So looking back, that was probably I know you can't really say where we lost it, but that was probably our worst part of the season. Came there. So yeah.
Trevor, I'm so glad that I'm not looking at the comments, that you're looking after the comments, because I'm seeing some of the ones you're popping up here and they're absolutely spot on. Like Alex talked about, the Newcastle one hurt more than Fulham, West Ham, and the 2 against Villa. Gerard talks about.
Do you mean Adam?
Adam, sorry, yeah, I had only saw it for a second. Sorry, and Gerard says about that VAR means it shouldn't get it wrong. They're all hugely valid points. Do call us in next week when we put it up on social media and join us. Let's go into that December run-in. And you can see we started off December okay, but it really went wrong. Let me get off that banner at the bottom. There we go. With that 1-0 loss to Villa away on the 9th of December, we came back to the Emirates. We thought, okay, we turned it back on again, beat Brighton 2-0. 1-1 in Anfield against Liverpool. And then we lost to West Ham at home and then lost to Fulham away. Dale, 1-1 at Anfield, considering, Trevor mentioned several times on this podcast about how important it is that we get points in the Northwest. That wasn't a dreadful result, was it, in comparison to the other 3 that cost us?
If you ask most teams every season, we'll give you a point at Anfield now, or you can play for it and maybe risk losing or winning. The majority would take a point at Anfield. It's a great point. But the one thing that stands out about that game for me was our fans. Our fans in that game were absolutely phenomenal. I remember it very well. And were you boys there? I'm guessing Trev was there.
I wasn't. Trevor was, yeah.
Yeah, I went,
Trev.
right. Dal, do you know what, mate? Just before you carry on, I shook my head then when we talked about it, because that I was stood right behind the goal then. I was only about 2 rows back. Again. And I nearly swore. The speed of that game, right? Liverpool hadn't started their downhill trend by then. Liverpool were at the top of their form, right? And this is why I didn't foresee what was to come after it, because we went in there that day and it was an absolutely fantastic game of football, played by 2 brilliant football teams. The pace of it, the speed of it, oh my God. The pace of it was superb, Dal. Sorry, mate, I'll cut you off there.
No, not nothing to sort of apologise for. It was, for me, that was one of the games where the fans really, really, really need to be the 12th man. Anfield is notorious for a loud atmosphere, right? Whether that's manufactured via pumping stadium noise or not, or whatever it may be, but we outsung them that day. It's not very often teams go to Anfield and outsing them, but the Arsenal boys did.
Like previous to that, Alex, before the Newcastle defeat, and then into we had gone on a 10-game unbeaten run. Then we had the results at Villa, Anfield. The West Ham one on what was meant to be the Boxing Day game. For me, I took it on the cheek because I think West Ham managed that game really, really well. They schooled us. We took a beating. Sometimes that happens. But the one that really disappointed me, and you can talk on both games, Alex, was the Fulham performance. We went 1-0 up to then concede 2 goals, and we just didn't feel like we were at the races.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of what happens when you haven't got like an out and out striker or a man like Haaland, which they have at City. And in those couple of games, all of our players just stopped scoring and we couldn't really take our chances. I remember we had so many chances in that West Ham game, and we just kept on missing our shots. Odegaard created so many chances in and around the box, and nobody really took it. And then they punished us on the counter attack, and Moyes set them up perfectly, how they should have been set up, and they executed their game plan. And then, the same thing or I'm not sure the same thing happened at Fulham because we just didn't play well at Fulham. I don't know what happened in that game. But luckily we raised our levels afterwards, and that was kind of 2 isolated games in the season where we just didn't play well. And I don't know if Arteta was still sort of playing around with the tactics and integrating some of the new stuff as well, still at that point, because he was at the beginning of the season, playing Partey at right back. He tried different things throughout the season, but I think after Christmas, we're sort of getting to where Havertz started playing up top, and that was kind of a big turning point for me in the season when Havertz started playing up top.
Trevor, the big turning point in the season was a 3-week break with our winter break and rescheduled games because they're out of the FA Cup in the 3rd round against Liverpool. And then we went off the sunny climbs in Dubai. We come back and we end up getting 6 away at West Ham, 5 away at Bramall Lane. And I think there was Palace at home, Chelsea at home, 5 goals. We went on to, in the end of 2024, I had it written down here, we played 19. We only drew 1 to City and lost 1 to Villa. It was phenomenal, wasn't it?
Yeah, do you know what? I don't know what went on in Dubai, mate, but I want some of that bottled. I want to take it for every day for the rest of my life because they did actually properly come back a different team. It's a very commonly used phrase, isn't it? They look a different team or they look a different side. But it doesn't apply any more than it did when they come back from Dubai. They were absolutely on fire, weren't they? Absolutely on fire, scoring goals for fun. Everywhere we had been misfiring before Christmas and during Christmas was lit. Not just one player came back and started scoring. They all came back and started scoring, Who put the ball in the West Ham net? You know what I mean? Who put the ball in the Sheffield
fucking team, dude.
Who put the ball in the Burnley net? What a time to be an Arsenal supporter. What them few games were. Amazing. I can't believe I can still remember them because I was so drunk. And it's interesting here because where's he gone? Our good friend James was at Fulham with me. Unfortunately, he got drunk on me before the game, so the Fulham performance didn't hurt as much as it should. But after Christmas, when they came back from Dubai, bang. So just couldn't believe it. It's breathtaking. The football we were playing was breathtaking. We were beating sides so easily. Sheffield United, when they came to our ground earlier in the season and we beat them 5-0, I thought, wow, this is possibly the worst Premier League team I've ever seen.
Eddie scored a hat-trick. That says a lot.
They were poor. Yeah. They were poor.
And then we go there and we beat them 6-0. And I'm thinking, wow, I didn't see this coming. I know they're poor, but this is special. And it was special because I had Donna with me and Donna got really, really drunk. And the drugs dog picked her out for a drugs test. Which was hilarious.
Oh, that was hilarious. You remember that?
You walk past a drug dog and it just sat and barks at her as if to say, "You've got drugs, you've got drugs."
And the thing was, Trev, we didn't even help her out. We'd come along and said, Donna, we told you not to bring any of the coke with you. We told you.
Oh yeah, she got the full treatment. She'll be listening.
Marigolds, the
downstairs,
whole lot.
Yeah, it was brilliant. And do you know what it was? In fairness, it turned out she'd walked the dog in her coat she had on the previous day. She had dog treats in her pocket. And this dog's, we reckon this dog's gone for the dog treats, you know, because the drugs were in her other pocket. So it never went round.
Oh, dear.
Oh,
Listen,
dear.
that brings us on lovely to probably the games that stand out most to you. Dale, you had a special game at the beginning of December. I'll bring up a picture. There we go. Talk us
I
through
did
this
indeed, yeah. Look, you know what, right? So I've been lucky enough to have a season ticket since 2018 now, actually. And as you know, my mate Dan, who's got the second ticket next to me, he works away quite often. So I've bought my boys one by one. I bought the wife before, and but very rarely in fact, never until this season have we all been together. And with the help of the network and the help of you guys, we managed to get a game all together, the Wolves game, and by far my highlight of the season. It was the first game we'd all been together as a family, and again, everybody just welcomed the family with open arms. So a big thank you to the North Bank boys. Big thank you to boys on here as well for the help there. It wouldn't have happened without you. So thank you.
Alex, one that's got to stand out for you, I suppose, is with your granddad, isn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I went to 2 games with my granddad, who's been a supporter since the 50s. And yeah, they really stand out for me this season. The first one, which we won't talk too much about, was the Seville game at home, which we went to, and that was his. On the night of the game, he turned 80, and then of course the Brighton away game, which I mean I was with you guys as well, so yeah, that probably is my favorite game of all of the season, including the European games. That's probably the one that stands the most out to me. All of us in the front row, Trevor getting his tats out for once, and then yeah, the game itself was incredible. Everything just went well that day. The couple of hours we had in the pub before was good. Couple of hours, couple of beers.
Couple. We were fine before the pubs opened. It was a half 5 kickoff.
We were there for ages. Just an incredible day. And yeah, you're not in front row. It's very rare. It's very rare. I'm in the front row at an away games. That was special as well. Incredible game and day. Havertz scoring, Trossard scoring in front of his old team. And I think all of us were a bit worried about that game, and then we ended up just smashing them 3-0. And yeah, that was just a great game.
And they weren't a bad side either. They played quite well on the day, but we were just on form and rolling and steamrolling our way through the league. Trevor, you don't like to get in the front row that often, do you?
Oh no! Hey, you know what, Ferg? I love that. I love that photo of us two. I love it. West Ham away has always been a difficult away trip since they moved to that new stadium, hasn't it? Right? We've not been an enjoyable day really, but by God, how much did we enjoy that, eh? How much did we enjoy that day at West Ham? 6-0, singing our heads off, you know, front row, falling about, brilliant. The superb day.
You've done far more away games and games this season. I've probably done more home than you this season for various reasons, and you've probably done more away. Some amazing photographs we've had, and I can't have them all in here. But this one is, you're almost looking like a Viking here with your army behind you. There you are, right in the centre of the Arsenal fans and players. An amazing photograph. Talk to us about this, and also talk to us about the man who took the picture.
Yeah, well, it wasn't the man who took the picture was a news reporter at the far end of the stadium. Took that after the score, and that was it just so happened that there I was, big fat me standing right in the middle. But after the game, as is usual, 6-0, I'm full of beer. I got my shirt off, swinging it around, and an amazing sports photographer called Justin Setterfield decided to ask me if he could take some pictures of me because he was taking pictures of football fans that adored their club, that were crazy about their club. And firstly, I said to him, mate, there's many more Arsenal fans deserving of that accolade than me, and there truly is. And then he said to me, well, I'm doing a bit of a project. Can I come and take some pictures of you outside of the football scene? And I said, I'm not sure, mate. And Fergus went, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. And I went, well, thank you, Fergus. Here we go. So, yeah, some pictures have been taken of a lot of football fans from all different clubs by this lad, Justice Setterfield. He's a superb photographer, won so many awards, and I was truly honoured that he came to my little house and took some pictures of me in my Arsenal room, just talking about the Arsenal. And I think he's going to publish them one day when he's ready. But until then, fantastic. And that picture, by the way, is I probably will pride of place with some of the other canvases that my wife has got me this year. She's done them for me.
What I've enjoyed, the game that stands out for me, I suppose. Well, I don't know how it stands out because I really don't remember much of it. I do actually. I drank myself absolutely sober. It was my birthday. It was the Liverpool, one of our best performances at home. It was Liverpool 1, Arsenal 3, or Arsenal 3, Liverpool 1, if you want to do it the correct way around. But I was okay. I wasn't that drunk, honestly. I seriously wasn't that drunk.
That was a great thing, wasn't it?
We started early. I actually drank myself sober. I'm sure I did. I did drink myself sober. But it was absolutely amazing. That was Polly who gave me that badge. And later, I haven't got the photo in here. Stuart, our team photographer, took a picture of me, but somebody had stuck a badge on about the ballot and their disapproval of the ballot. So that never got published. But there's just been some great days. And Trevor, it is about, the football, yes, and we go to support the Arsenal, but it's going to have a beer with friends like these. You got Billy Arneson, Simon Hunt, and yourself. That's Manchester. Is that Manchester or Liverpool away? That's Manchester away.
That's Manchester away. I've not forgiven Billy for that day because we got in that boozer at about 11:05, and by 11:15, we were on the beers and chasers. It was a big, big day, but I wouldn't change it for the world, Ferg.
And it has to be said that a man who's not here tonight because he's got other
Ginger Winger,
the Ginger Winger. There we go, Dan and little Theo Junior Dan, and what Dan has done along with the others in Block 5 to help over the last 2 years to create the atmosphere on the concourse that's now Block 5, Block 6, Block 7, Block 4. It's all just combined. It's just unreal.
Do you know what? I was thinking that just now, Ferg. There should have been 5 of us tonight. It don't seem right doing this without Dan, really, because Dan's been a massive part of my season. Well, our season, so yeah. But,
many people's season. Many people away from this podcast as well.
Yeah, he'll be back. I have no doubt he will be back.
Listen, I suppose it all culminates in the final game of the season. It was a 2-1 win over Everton. We done everything we could do. It wasn't enough. And Trevor, it's very fresh memories, but we stood in the stands long after the team cleared off and all the families taking their selfies and everything else in the middle of the pitch. We stood and we reflected, and then we went and had a beer. But before we departed, we've been fortunate enough to make good friends with some of the photographers that are in and around the stadium, and Susanna, who works for the Arsenal, and Sean, who works for the Arsenal also. Susanna took this great photograph. I love this photo, mate. Even though I could park a bike in there, I love this photo. I think it's brilliant.
No crack there. That's what worries me.
Trevor, can you just clarify that? Are you fighting or are you hugging? You look Ferg.
We were actually fighting. I was actually saying, "Will you stop it, Fergus?" And he grabbed me and molested me.
Right, guys.
Ferg,
go.
It's such a shame we got to do another one. It's such a shame this is over because we've brushed over it and it's been magnificent. I've loved this. But there was one or two games I wanted to be a bit more specific about where it's been amazing, and we'll have to do it again another time. There's so much more to talk about.
Well,
So
we can on the phone in one. We can definitely do it. But before we go, Dale, I know you definitely have to go bang on time. Can you give me who your player of the season is and why?
My player of the season. There's so many that it could be.
Got to pick one.
They're all deserving in their own ways. But for me, it has to be Martin Odegaard. I think he is the captain that we needed. His work rate is second to none. He is the first one on the pitch, the last one off the pitch. He does. It could be the 95th minute of a game, and he's still running around like it's the first minute of the game. The way he interacts with the fans, the way he interacts with the players, the way he interacts with the media. He is everything that an Arsenal captain should be. And I think everything we've got stems from him. Not everybody's done their own part, but I'm put on the spot here to say that one player, and for me, it has to be Martin Odegaard. So thank you, Martin.
Alex, your player of the season?
Yeah, it's a difficult one this season because there's been so many standouts. But I'd probably have to agree with Dale in the best player of the season would have to be Odegaard for me. He's just been instrumental to everything we've done this season, driven us forward always and off the pitch as well. So important. And then my favorite player of the season is probably Havertz. I know that's probably what you didn't ask that question, but I just wanted to mention it. The progress he's made and how he's won all of the fans' hearts. I can't wait to see him next season where he's going to have a start from where he left off towards the end of the season, and he's going to just be even better. I think he can go to new heights next season. So yeah, he's been brilliant for me as well.
Okay, and finally, Hillsy, what's your player of the season?
All right, I have to agree with these boys. We could talk about it for the next 3 hours, couldn't we? And make a case for most of the people in the squad. My player of the season, right? I feel a bit sorry for Gabriel, right? Because Gabriel hasn't got the plaudits he deserves this season. He's been absolutely magnificent. Absolutely magnificent. Not put a foot wrong, especially for the first 3 games of the season he didn't play because there was some thoughts, was he going to go off to Saudi and grab the money, So, although I feel that Gabriel's been brilliant, I've got to give it to Saliba, mate. And I'll tell you why. It'll take 30 seconds to tell you why. Very much as James says there, he played every second of every game, right? And he played every second of every game after coming back from a very serious injury last season, right? So he has put his neck on the line. He's not let us down. For me, he's like the defensive version of Rice in midfield. Finds time to win the ball. Times his tackles superbly. Hasn't let us down. Feel very sorry for Gabriel because he's been as good. Feel very sorry for Ben White because he's been as good. But my man is Saliba, mate. William Saliba.
To be honest, if nobody had mentioned him, I probably would have gone for Saliba. I think for the very reason that you and James said, playing every game of this season. But I probably would have to stick with Odegaard, Rice, Havertz, Saliba, Gabriel, maybe a guest appearance for Ramsdale and Raya.
So lads, we're only allowed to name one name, and he names the whole squad.
I just done it for a laugh. Listen. We will be back on Monday. We'll do the phone in on Monday. So 7:00 on Monday night, we'll do the phone in, and we'd love everybody who's watching. We've got 214 watching all across different platforms. I will put a link on the screen here, which you'll be able to follow. It will be from the gunsandyellowribbons.com website. You click on the link and you can come on. We'll have a limited number that we can have on there, but it'd be really good if people come on and just give us an idea what they thought of the season, their player of the season, their goal of the season, whatever it is, or ask us whatever questions you want within reason.
Ferg.
I'm going to press the button.
Ferg. Press the button and make me cry.
No!
come through the storm.
You were nicked again.
Yeah, I've just seen it. Where is he? I can't believe he's on here now stalking me. It's police brutality. Heath,
That's exactly what.
Heath, I know you're part of the constabulary, matey. I might need your help with this celebration police fella. I might need a bit of backup here. But yeah, he's not wrong, actually. I was very miserable after the game on Sunday. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Listen, thank you very much, guys. We 24 seconds over. We've done really well. Oh, Christ, what's happened on my screen? Hang on, there we go. Thanks very much. We'll speak to you on Monday. We will have this little logo up here. Where is it? Up the top. We will have that flashing in the corner, so you can call us. And we'll send a link out to everybody in the bios and on here as well. You get on to do your call. Del, thank you very much. Alex, stay dry. Stay out of that Copenhagen rain. You know what those Danish Vikings are like.
Yeah.
Yeah, nearly. Very nearly.
Very nearly.
Yeah, up the arse. Fuck the Spurs.
Thanks for listening to Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Follow us on Facebook at Guns and Yellow Ribbons or Twitter at Guns and Ribbons. And remember to rate and review us too. Up the Arsenal.